A beautiful Saturday to us all. How are you doing? It's been a very eventful week for me. Eventful in the sense that it's been loaded with a lot of things. The weather has been nice. I won't say that. I'm not really um, I thought that I was getting accustomed to the weather that I find myself in this environment, but my body sometimes says otherwise. Welcome to another beautiful therapeutic healing Saturday on the Young Women Wise Voice Adolescents discussion platform. I know that it can be quite a mouthful to but the healing is actually in the mouthfuls of the name. My name is Rosemary Henry Eze, and this is the platform where the woman is made whole. For this platform, it is all about wholeness. Your wholeness is at the center of everything we do. And every week, every Saturday, we are managed to come to this platform, this medium, to help that one woman, just one woman, in her life. Last week was very deep. Last week was very helpful. And that's the National Women's Day, which is a global, celebration, and the topic was on give to get, healing the woman gives. I don't know if anyone had the time to go back and watch. I went back, I watched it 1,000 times. It's happened that way, if I'm not exaggerating. And tonight, we have a certified therapist, Elizabeth Baruo, who will be taking us on the topic on psychological and emotional abuse. And without taking much of our time, I would like to bring in a host for tonight and also bring in our speaker. Let me bring the host for tonight first. In the person of Ola Adeshola. She happens to be the secretary of this amazing let me say that come on the 18th of we will be having hello mama, welcome. On the 18th of April we're going to be having our medical outreach in Nigeria. So let me also bring in our guests. I'm going to bring in our guests. Okay, I've got our guests, and I will take I will exit for Olabisi Adesola to take over. Mommy, how are you? Please take over, ma. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, you are welcome, ma. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's so wonderful to have you here on time today. I was thinking that we won't get to meet with you on time, but you are really, really on time, and I appreciate that. So based on our topic for today, from our topic from today, hope you know what we are talking about this evening. We are talking about hidden wounds. Wounds that emotional. We are talking about psychological and emotional abuse, but this kind of abuse are not physical. They are not physical. They are invisible. So I believe you got our update and you know what we are talking about, and you know the areas that you are going to be speaking of. I really want to appreciate you this evening, and I want to hand over to you to speak with us or to talk to us on this topic in the next 20 minutes, and thereafter we'll dive into the question and answer section. Can we go on?
Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes. Oh, were you not hearing me?
I was hearing you. I just want to check that you can hear and see me okay.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. All right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Yeah.
Please give us a brief introduction about yourself.
Uh,
Sorry about
what
that.
do we say?
Yeah. Why are you laughing now?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Eze, and I am a practicing mental health nurse as well as a therapist. I'm a practicing therapist as well. So my background is quite extensive in mental health and working with people from various backgrounds with difficulties who have experienced all forms of trauma, going through anxiety, depression. I've worked with a lot of people who have experienced lots of different mental health problems. And with that comes quite a lot of extensive experience, both within our African context and within a European context. So I live in the UK, so I'm shouting out from the UK. So it's just a wonderful time to be here. So I'm also a writer and a publisher. I write a lot of books. I've got one coming up, which is actually quite interesting because it's going to be looking at this particular topic, which is quite a deep thing now. We've got a lot of people struggling with different kinds of psychological abuse and trauma that have come from different experiences. So this is a really big topic. I'm married with 4 children. My husband is Walter. So it's always a pleasure to sit on a platform and talk to many women. I'm a daughter of God, most importantly, and I draw quite a lot of spiritual strength from the scriptures, from God, and that is my foundation. However, today, I just want to wish everyone a warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, for me being here as well. So without wasting much time, the topic that was given was invisible wounds. And invisible wounds, quite a big topic, it means obviously something that's hidden away and we can't see. So we're not going to waste much time. We're going to go straight into it and not waste time without, we've got limited time. We want to give space for questions. We want to give space for people to come and ask different things, anything you don't understand. We're going to give space for that. So thank you. Thank you, Rosemary, for inviting me to speak. Thank you for all the hosts of Y.W.W.B initiative. It's always amazing to come and speak on the platform and also to listen to when other people speak as well. So thank you very much to everyone on the team. So today we're talking about invisible wounds, the kind of hurt that comes from emotional and psychological abuse and the impact that has on people in lots of different ways. These are wounds we can't see. There are no bruises, no broken bones, but the hurt is real. And it can go so deep that it changes how you see everything. It changes how you see the world, how you see people. It changes how you build relationships with people. And my hope today is that it's such a big topic, but we're just going to throw a little bit of light into how it all starts and just to open up our minds a little bit so that we can understand this topic a little bit more. So how does it all start? Invisible wounds. It can start from different places or in different ways. Invisible wounds are things that are, like we said, it's built. It comes slowly. If we talk in the area of relationships, for example. It's when someone comes into your life, they make lots of promises, they sweep you off your feet. There's this huge and overwhelming amount of attention and love that's given to you. But you've grown probably in a space where you didn't actually have quite a lot of love and affection shown. You didn't have quite a lot of love and affection showered upon you. So when you see this, you grab onto it and hold onto it. And in relationships, this kind of love can seem overwhelming. It can just seem like a thing that you clutch on. So those wounds will not be seen at the start of relationships because there's a lot of love bombing, there's a lot of love being given to you. Invisible wounds can also come from childhood, from the way you were raised, from the way that you were treated. And these invisible wounds come from different levels and different types of abuse. I'm not going to go into this extensive detail talking about abuse and psychological abuse and all these different ones, but the main important thing is for you to understand the impact of it. There's a big impact of this on people. The emotional, the different types of abuse, we know the emotional, the psychological, there's physical, there's sexual abuse, all these different ones. They come in different ways and they happen to people. When people are young and these things happen to them, at the time it's happening, you don't actually see it as an issue. You don't feel that abuse. It only comes after. You only start to feel all this, the impact of what's happened later on. And that's when the wound starts to make. Every time something happens, there is a small scratch. Every time something happens, there's a small scratch. And then it becomes into this big wound that, you can't actually shake. For some people, it's a range of things. For some people, it could just be the one big thing that's happened. For some people, it creeps up slowly and you don't actually realize it until it gets really, really bad. In relationships, for example, when people are, in love, married, um, where the love is strongest, that's when the hurt is as strong as well. So, for example, you get married and everything is going really well. Life is beautiful. It's nothing that's showing any signs of anything. And then it starts slowly, something happens, it's turned around, the blame is put on you, something happens that's not your fault, you're made to feel like, you don't feel safe in that space. And then conversations that can start to happen, people telling you, you're making things up, you're too sensitive. It could be comments that are coming in. It could be the way that people speak to you. It could be the way that, people call you names, people insult you, all these different things. All these build all kinds of different wounds. It could be silent treatment. It could be anything that is used as a weapon against you, not physical weapon, but a weapon in terms of words, actions. All these build invisible wounds. Invisible wounds are things that are there that we cannot see them. But the events and the experiences that we have, they cut really deep. It could be that spouse who's had an affair and then doesn't think that there's any reason to be sorry about it, and you're really hurting, and they don't feel the need to apologize. It could be the controlling spouse or partner, where you become afraid of your own skin. You even become afraid to speak, have a conversation, and every time you have a conversation, everything is shut down. It could be the way that you felt maltreated or mistreated, and you felt like you didn't have the space to speak about what's gone on. And when you try to create that space to speak, you're shut down, and as if your feelings or the conversation doesn't matter. Slowly, with time, these things build up. It could be the way that you're treated. It could be the fact that you don't even have the space to talk about, what's going on, not to anyone. In a lot of relationships, when all these bad things happen, the invisible wounds obviously come from bad things that have happened in the relationship, which have not been resolved, which you haven't had closure from. And when you don't have closure in these issues, they cause wounds, they cause big problems. When we solve matters, whether in relationships, in siblings, someone did something really bad to you, and you really weren't able to deal with it or to resolve it, it causes a wound. And over time, these wounds become the things that, start to be, grounded in you. And then you start to sort of lose confidence and belief in yourself. One of the problems with this kind of difficult events that might have happened is that you become very hard on the inside. And that's when the wounds start to form. Your body becomes like a natural alarm system. It becomes overproductive. It becomes quite hyper in terms of vigilance, and you start being overprotective of yourself just because you don't want anyone to hurt you again. Our bodies have a natural alarm system. They just have that ability to protect us from danger. But when people hurt us and when people start to do things to us, we become our own safe spaces. We don't want anyone to come in. And because we have these wounds in our hearts that have not been healed, the impact then becomes that we start to block everyone out. We start to not to allow people to come in. We start losing trust in people. Invisible wounds, like I said, they come really slowly. You don't realize it. Like I said, some are from childhood and some are from adulthood. And it all comes from something really bad. Emotionally, you could trust someone. Someone's done, you can trust someone so much that you don't expect them to betray you. But unfortunately, because people are human, they betray you. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't know. But because we haven't had that conversation to be able to resolve things, we start to feel this hurt, and the hurt is the wound. Some people hurt so deeply because the cut is really deep as well. It could come from right inside family, and it could come from close friends who you trusted that you didn't expect them to do this to you, but they've done it anyway. And so the way the wound, and so the way this thing happens, the way that the wound is carried in us, is the damage it's caused in our life. Whatever the circumstances, this event that's happened damages us. This thing that's happened, it causes a lot of damage. And we can see different things that it can cause damage. The damage that it leaves behind, the deep hurt that it leaves behind is the hurt. So let's look at some of the things that can happen as a result of these hurts, as a result of these things that people have done to us, things that have happened in our lives, all these really negative events, whether sexual, psychological, emotional, spiritual, whichever way this really bad thing has happened, this event has happened. Initially, you wouldn't see it. It might not even show as abuse. Most people only realize later that this was actually abuse. You just find yourself in a really controlling relationship, a relationship that, you don't really, you're not able to manage. You feel like you can't breathe. You can't reach out to people. You're isolated. And they tell you that this is the only way. I am the one who's protected you. But that protection is actually control. There are a lot of things that come into this, and it causes damage in our lives. So what's the first thing? The way that these events wound us. The first thing is that our bodies begin to carry that stress. All this tension, all this physical, all this pain, all this hurt in our heart has to go somewhere. It starts to show up in our body as physical pain, headaches, stomach problems, constant tiredness, fatigue, and sleep. These are all the impact of these wounds. And this can hurt really deeply because it's emotional, it's affecting emotional, it's affecting the way you feel. It's touching you in a really, really, in a place of trust. It's affecting you from a place of trust. Oh my God, I can't actually believe that this person did this to me. That hurt is being carried, and it starts to affect you in a lot of different ways. One of the things that the hurt does to you is your heart. A lot of people would tell me, they've got a lot of palpitations, they've got a lot of things going on. Their heart is good, the wounds that you're carrying, the things that you're carrying in your heart, it puts a strain on it. Your feelings get all over the place. Some people might feel quite numb because of the experiences they've had. But the wounds are coming in as a result of those negative experiences. And how do we heal from them? It's a completely different story. But we're looking today at how these wounds come about. These different events, these negative things that have happened to us are the ones that are causing the wounds. We can't see them, like our speaker, our host said, but we can feel them. We can feel them in here. We can feel them in here. We can feel them here. We can feel them all over in terms of stress. Another thing that can come with these wounds, especially for people that have experienced some kind of abuse, is the feeling of shame, the feeling of guilt. Why did I allow this to happen to me? I shouldn't have allowed this to happen to me. You start to believe all the criticism. You're horrible. You're good for nothing. You'll never become anything. You're such a horrible person. You're not good enough. All these things, all these hurtful words that are spoken to us constantly and repeatedly cause wounds. And after some time, some people start to believe the criticism. And so they start carrying this heavy weight, thinking that somehow all of this is their fault. What do the wounds cause? The fact that when you're at home, even going home, you start feeling some serious anxiety. That's a wound. You're anxious to go home. You don't want to go home because you don't know what you're going to meet. You're scared to go home. That's because of the wound. Whatever's happened, something's happened to cause you to be afraid, to cause you to feel the way you feel. You're afraid of the person you live with. There's a wound there. You've either been physically abused, psychologically, emotionally, one of it, whatever it is. I don't want to go into detail because obviously we only have only 20 minutes, probably 10 now. We only have a very short time. But what we're saying is that no matter what the abuse is, no matter what the situation, no matter what the hurt that's happened, all these things, they bring all these there's another impact that it happens. And that causes, that happens to you. The impact on you is real. So the emotional abuse, it comes really slowly. It comes with, trying to constantly probably blame you for things, treating you less than you are, treating you in a really poor way, not valuing your feelings, not valuing your thoughts, not valuing the things that you say, not valuing anything that is important to you, and just treating you as if you're less than who you are. All these different things, that treatment, that speaking, the words that are spoken to you, those things are the things that will cause the wound.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I didn't feel it,
Yeah.
no problem. You're welcome.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
I know you have a lot to say. I know you have a lot to share.
Yeah.
But I feel if we go into the question and answer section, you can dive in deeply and give us more explanation on how these things, take effect. While you are speaking, I was just digesting uh, the whole narrative, and I personally am a victim of what we are discussing tonight. But while I was going through it, I didn't see it like that. So my first question to you this evening, then I'd like to appreciate everyone joining us. Thank you so much, Gloria, Glories. Thank you so much for joining, for tuning in. Everyone watching right now. Before I go on to my question, please, if you have any question you need to ask our speaker for tonight, don't hesitate. Drop your comment, drop your question on the comment section, and it will be attended to. Please, let's start dropping our questions. Thank you so much. Now back to my question. Please, can you explain to us how does it start? How does this psychological and emotional abuse wounds? How does it start? The invisible one, because it's not a physical beating. It's an abuse that is not seen. You can't see it. So even if you are the victim and you are going through, do you know that you can be a victim of this abuse and you won't know? Are you with me?
Yes,
Do you believe or do you agree with me that you can be going through this abuse and you will not know? So how can you please explain to us how does it start? What are the signs that you will see? What are the signs that will, later on tell you that you have been going through an invisible
mm.
abuse?
So that's the thing. That's what I was talking about. That it's very, very subtle. Most of the time, if you're in a relationship, if I said that, it starts with a love bombing, a lot of people think, but he loves me. But that's the hook. They show you so much love, draw you in, capture your heart, and you don't actually realizing that, they're throwing in the bait. Let me say bait. Yeah. You don't realize it. It starts quite softly. You don't realize it because you're in love. You don't realize it because you feel like the person is actually treating you nice. It's like children that are groomed as well. The grooming starts with giving you gifts, giving you little things that are loving, and then this person becomes your whole life. You just feel like this person, there's no way, he can change. And there's a way that when you start, the red flags start coming up only when you start to see certain kinds of things that were not there from the very beginning. It's very, very different for a lot of people. It's when they start telling you, for example, you can't wear those shoes, I don't like them. You can't hang out with that friend, I don't like them.
Wow.
You can't be going out at this time of the night, I don't like it.
Oh, like
I
they
don't like
care.
the way you're putting on weight. Why is my food not ready at this time? You can't be going out at this time, you're not allowed to. You see, it comes in slowly, 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 slowly. There's manipulation, there's control, there's a lot of things that come in. The abuser typically uses, emotional blackmail. Especially when it comes to love, it comes really slowly, and then your self-esteem starts to erode very, very slowly. If you're in a group of people, there's some comments that we made that are actually quite, expensive jokes, but oh, I was just joking. Why can't you take a joke? I never thought something will be said that's really hurtful, and then you turn around. No, I never said that. So you're being too sensitive. Why are you taking that for anything? But it hurts. And then it goes now with the raising of the voices and the shouting, and you can't do this, and then usually extends now to the hands. But the more you give room for it, the more the abuse happens. Now with children, there's no, as a child, there's no a child trusts that that adult is actually looking after them. They'll come, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of you. I love you, but then the hand is going in. You know what I mean? I love you. I'm doing this because I love you. That's the manipulation. I'm doing this because I love you. Then you begin to associate the love with the physique, the love with the, I'm doing this because I love you. And as an adult, I'm doing this. I'm telling, don't go out with those friends. Don't do this. I'm doing that because I love you. I want to protect you. But for me, I'm saying that it's like, what I hear is I want to control you, you know. So It comes in really slowly. It comes in as if they want to protect you. It comes in as if they want to love you. They want to show it. But then your sphere of friendship is getting smaller and smaller. And then everything now becomes about you and him. You only go out with his friends or her friends. You're only able to go out, or speak in fact, when you even speak in some places, you'll be like, you shouldn't speak because you don't even actually know what to say. Because when you go home, you'll be like, why were you talking like that? Why were you? So you kind of start to think, how do I act in a public space? You start to want to live by their expectations and the way that they want you to live, forgetting completely who you are. That's how it comes in. It comes in really slowly. You don't realize it until you're really in too deep. And there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of praise in that, I love you, but that's why I'm doing this. But that is the way it comes. It's very subtle. Sometimes you'll be discouraging seeing family. No, that this family, this person is not, it's not good. I don't like those your family members are like this. I don't like those your friends. But then it becomes only you in that little box. And you have when it's time to cry, there's nowhere to cry. You don't have any support system. So it just becomes you. And then that's when sometimes the strike comes. So it comes in really slowly. There's no big signpost to say this is psychological abuse, this is emotional abuse. No. It comes in more like blackmail. I'm doing this because I love you. I'm doing this because I don't want you to get. I'm doing this because there's always a reason why someone's hurting you. Yeah.
It's so amazing that while it's going on, you don't even know it.
No.
Don't
because it looks like love.
It got to a time someone had to tell me that I'm the one that is in love, that man doesn't love you. And when the person,
like love.
Yes, the person told me, there's a little to what they can really say when you are in the marriage. This person didn't tell me why I was in the marriage. It was when the marriage was at at the verge of divorce. We have gone our separate ways because he traveled abroad and I stayed back in Nigeria. So it was from abroad that he just sent me the stinking card. That he just sent me the message saying that because of unreconcilable this and that is why he feels we should go our separate ways. So when all of that was going on, and I was just from my own processing it in the courts. So that was when that person told me that, hey, you are the one that is in love. That man never loved you. It shook me. I was quiet. I was just looking. I couldn't say anything. I could not say anything because while in the marriage, I did not notice all of this at all. Thank God for this initiative. Thank God for what this initiative has been able to do. It is now that I realize so many things. And everything, while it was going on, I felt it was out of love.
Yeah.
I felt it was out of love. Oh, he cares. Meanwhile, he never did. He never cared. He never. It was at the tail end that I realized, wow, I don't have a life of my own. I was not living my life. I was living a life for the family, for him and for the children. I can tell you practically that it's just now that I'm discovering myself. It's just, and even now that I'm discovering myself, a lot of things is happening as I speak to you that I felt overwhelmed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. In fact, a few weeks back, I felt, is it worth living? Because many years has gone wasted. And
I want to tell you something. The years are not wasted. The years are not wasted. They are your experiences.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, a very good one. So I want to ask that this abuse, does it only happen in relationships, as in husband and wife? In what other ways does it happen? Because right now, even to enter into a new relationship, as in just friendship, it's like I'm withdrawing from people. I'm afraid to experience or to go into any relationship that people will take advantage of you. Really, right now, the state of my mind is I don't give a damn what people do or what people say about me. I don't care. But I just don't want to be at anybody's beck and call. I don't want to be someone that people will just toast here and there and give instructions. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
I just want to be on my own. So, can you please explain to us? Can one express this invisible abuse, invisible emotional abuse in other relationship outside love? Maybe just friendship, relationship between between children, father and child, mother and child. Do you experience this abuse in other aspects of life or at workplace, your business place? Please explain.
Okay. So what you're experiencing is no longer the abuse. So what happened is that all these things that happened to you have been stored in your brain as a memory. So I'm going to just sort of say like your brain is in two parts. So we've got the front and the back. I'm not gonna start calling all the scientific names and everything. I'll just say the front and the back brain. Yeah.
Okay.
All the experiences, all the things that have happened. The front part of our brain is the rational thinking. That side is what's responsible for our decision making and all these things. The things, for example, you wake up in the morning, I'm going to have tea for porridge or porridge for tea or whatever. Sorry, I'm going to have porridge for breakfast. That's what I mean. That you don't have anxiety with that. So the back of the brain is the place that stored all this memory, and that's responsible for automatic reactions. So what's happened is that your brain, the back of that brain, what we call in psychology the downstairs brain, just to help people to understand. So if I call the front the upstairs brain, the back would be the downstairs brain. Your downstairs brain is responsible for reactions, automatic reactions, automatic thinking, your fight, flight, adrenaline, and everything. So what's happened to you is that, and to anyone who's listening, who's struggling in the same position, is that these memories are just sitting there. They've not actually been processed. They're still there. And every time anyone comes close to you to create some kind of a friendship, automatically that part of the brain which is responsible for fight, flight, freeze, the fire alarm start going straight away. So your body has learned that any kind of relationship that wants to come close to you is dangerous. So it's not distinguishing between good relationships and bad relationships. And it's nothing to do with, it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. So just know that it's not your fault. It's just the way your body has learned to respond to relationship. Now, if someone wanted to come close to you, that fire alarm system is just it starts misfiring and just saying, oh, hang on, that person is dangerous. No, no, that relationship, no, shut it down. It just automatically goes to start protecting you. So your body's formed a protective mechanism where any kind of relationship that wants to come close causes anxiety. Will I trust them? Are they, are the people that can be trusted? Are they going to hurt me like the one that hurt me before? But that's because one, we haven't processed the memory. So there's lots of things that are going on. And like I said, it's not your fault. It's not got anything to do with, you're not a bad person. It's nothing that. It's just the way your body is responding to any kind of relationship that's coming in, good, bad, friendship, any kind. You're already on guard. You're just hyper vigilant constantly because you're thinking, oh, what does this person want? But again, the wounds are still there. You might have processed, with time,
Yes.
wounds reduce trauma, you might have processed it, but there's still maybe something lingering there, which tells you that relationship Be careful. So the body is just formed. So the body needs to retrain itself to say that not all relationships are dangerous. I'm going to give this one a chance. So it's going to ask the front part of the brain, that upstairs brain, to say, "But hang on, we don't really even know this person. We haven't given them a chance, right?" So we need to start retraining our brain again to say that not all relationships are dangerous. But again, that comes with time. I'm writing a book right now, which will soon come out, and it's really looking at things like this. And it's a whole process. And once your body begins to adapt to forming new relationships, you'll begin to find yourself again because you've moved, you're in transition from I'm doing everything for everyone else to I want to start doing things for me. That transition is a whole process. The wounds have caused a lot of impact. And when you move from one place to another to finding the person that you used to be, that's when things will start to settle. But give it
Thank
time,
you. Okay.
it will happen eventually.
Thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.
So before I turn the whole program to to myself, let's go. Let's make it. Let's me ask a general question so that everyone watching now or catching up later will also benefit from it. From my own preparation, because when I was told, or the moment I know I'm going to be anchoring this or be anchoring the program, I had to go into some study personally. And while doing my own study or assignment, I came across some things. So I want to ask you, what are the various tactics to take for for an abuser? What are the tactics they use? You have mentioned some earlier, but I want to shed more light so that people can understand when they are being abused and when it is actually coming from the place of love.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. That one, like I said, is very, very difficult to say. But usually, when it comes from a place of love, like I said from before, there's a lot of, that love bombing. That's where it starts in relationships. Most relationships almost never start badly. They always start really well. It's like a dream come true. You're with this person who loves you so much, and you are his world, or that's the way they show you that you are his world. And then they come into your life, they sweep you off your feet, they show you all this love. Even, like I said, even in children, when they're being groomed and things like that, it's the same process. They show you all this love, and it's like you're the world is without. And one of the reasons why we latch onto this is because we ourselves are craving for it. If we come from a place of secure relationships and secure attachments, we might not be caught up so much. And in a place of education, we might not be caught up so much. But the way it comes is, you look, the, you kind of look for, how will I put it? I don't want to call prey. I don't want to call prey like, soft-minded empaths and things like that. It depends on, you know, how it goes. There's no way that you can say that this person is going to abuse me. They don't show you straight away that they're beating you or they're abusing you sexually. It would never
Yes.
probably come like that. No one would do that. Because if it's so obvious right from the beginning, you will run away, won't you?
Yeah.
You run away. Yeah, you run away from the beginning. So it always comes with love bombing, sometimes relationship. And, when they make you their world, then
Mm.
they sort of they take control. They're now in control of everything. They're in control of you. They're in control of what's going on. They're in control of everything, because you've given them your heart and you've given them all of you and who you are. But then it starts to change slowly, what people call red flags. You start to see certain signs that were not there before. Mind games start to come in. Things start to slow, start to change slowly. You know, the compliments that might leave a little thing underneath. Oh, you look nice, but yeah, when you start
The
eating too much, you're
clothes.
growing too fast. You know, those kind of comments that you say something, but something else comes underneath. Why are you speaking to that guy in the car? I don't want to ever see you speaking to that person again. And you know, things start to come underneath. Why are you asking for money all the time? Every time it's for the, don't ask or start counting. Why do you need this? Crossing things off the list and so on and so forth. Why is the house not clear? It starts coming after. If it's later on, or they go out and stay out all night and come back, why do you have to question me about where I go? So things start coming only after. It's when you're in, you don't see this. Sometimes you don't see these things coming. You only see them afterwards. And if you want to talk, you know, that issue where there's no space for you to express your feelings, no space for you to talk about the situation, or you become afraid that they'll do something, or they'll leave you, or something is going to happen to you. All of that, that's the things that start to happen after. So initially, sometimes you don't always see the red flags, but sometimes the red flags are obvious. For example, you might be having a conversation and bam, they just flare up and something happens. Red flag. If this how you're behaving now like this, how are you going to be later? You know. But sometimes you don't see the red flag. And it's unfortunate that that's just the way it is. Sometimes things are so obvious, and sometimes things are not always so obvious. Like I said,
You know, you are very correct, ma. You are
mm,
very, very correct. While you are speaking now, I remember two occasions. One, he traveled and we had moved to our own place where we have our property. So it was one that introduced this friend and the family to me. Personally, I'm someone that is, it's not that I don't make friends. I make friends, but it's not easy. And once I make friends, forget it. I'm your friend for life, except you tell me to stop relating with you. So it was the one that brought them. And something happened. I didn't tell the friend anything. The friend just called one morning and said, ah, madam, send me your account details. Before I sent the account details, do you know who I called first? I called him. And I said, ah, your friend asked me to send account details. The next thing, did you ask him for money? Why is he sending that? Did he come to your house and he didn't see you eating well? This, wow. I think that was not even, I was not even, I didn't even think that way. Then another occasion was I had a friend. This ordinarily, even this friend already told me confidentially that, hey, young lady, how come you end up with a man like this? While we were discussing, I just smiled and I told her, ah, and he's not a bad person. Eh? She just know that head and we left it like that. But the next time this man was going to talk to me, my ex, he said, and I don't know what the lady saw in me. It's like the lady is just a talking acquaintance with me. You can't say that she's actually my friend. Do you know one way or the other, it disconnected and it destroyed that relationship? And even at that point, it wasn't enough signal to me. I still didn't see it that way. Meanwhile, people around me could see everything that was happening. Only me was not seeing. So there are threats, but subtle. Intimidation, no, no, no. While you are speaking, I just realized what I do, condemn. It condemns what I do. In fact, this one is not subtle. When it comes to the work of my hands, no, it does it with a smooth chest, with boldness, like as if I'm doing a rubbish business. So, no, the topic is deep, but I pray that we are able to go a little bit far. I mean, far in it. So, I don't want to ask more questions. People are not responding. I don't know why, but let's continue. How can one obtain healing from this invisible abuse?
Hmm. You can heal from this.
What? You said
I
what?
say, I say you can heal from this.
You can't.
You can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can.
Okay.
I
So
say
what is the
you can heal
process?
from
How
this.
can you come out of it?
One of the things I always encourage people to do is to try and find a way to process what happened. That's very, very important because talking about it is absolutely fine. We can keep talking about it, but we have to find a way to identify those particular, because in all of it, there'll be particular points which are the worst. The particular points where you felt the worst or where you felt the worst pain. And those different points where you felt the worst pain or where you're feeling the worst pain need to be processed. You can do that through therapy. You can do that through all kinds of different well-being groups that work with trauma, because the invisible wound is a trauma. It shocks your
Yeah.
emotional system. It's a trauma. That's what it is.
Yes.
You're experiencing trauma. So that trauma is coming from something that's really bad that happened. And if you haven't processed it, it will sit there. Okay, how can I give? What kind of analogy can I give for this that would make it easier for you to? Okay,
To understand.
imagine like a how would I call it? Like let's say a washing machine. You have a laundry basket, you have a washing machine, you have a dryer, and then you take the things out of the
Mhm.
dryer and you put them in your cupboard, those in the shelf. And you put it,
Yeah.
so you put away all the wash laundry. So all these memories right now, the painful memories, are still in that laundry basket. They haven't been put through the washing machine, talk less of
Okay.
even being dried and put away. Every time we talk about it, we kick the basket over, the laundry basket over, all the memories come flooding out. We talk about it, we take them and put them back in the basket. Every time we
So
talk about it, we don't process it, we just put them back in the basket. We need
so
to find an avenue where we can put them through the washing machine, that's the therapy I'm talking about, through the
okay.
dryer, and away into the shelf. I speak with a lot of metaphors and analogies. So that helps me to process and understand what, to explain what I mean. Yeah. So unless we do that, that's where the healing will come in. You need to find the hotspot, and for everyone who's listening, you need to find the hotspot to the memory, the places, the points where the emotional rupture, the emotional pain is strongest. Because when the emotional pain is strongest, that's when the numbness, the when it's suppressed, you haven't really opened it up to say, I felt like this, I'm processing this now. Because only when you process that, that's when you will heal. There's no other way around it. You need to process it. It needs to be processed. Because it's an
Thank you.
emotional wound, it's not like a wound that we can put plaster on. You can put, spirit, alcohol, whatever, put on the wound, and it heals. It's inside. So you need to open up those emotions, process them, before we put them away. And then you file away in the brain as a memory. But as long as we keep talking about it and not processing it, we're just pushing over the basket, put them all back in it, doesn't go through the washing machine and just continue. We need to process it and we have to make it
Thank
better.
you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Rose, you want to say something?
Ah, good evening, Ma. Thank you so much to our host, Olamide Adeshola, and thank you to Elizabeth Baroma. We want to really appreciate you for doing this. Last year we had you come talk to us about emotional, talking about relationship, respect, and all that, and it was a very skillful time we had with you. And today you're with us speaking on psychological and emotional abuse. And all the while you've been speaking, I have been listening with rapt attention. And I'm just, also listening to our hosts, questions. And, the thing is that on this platform, this initiative, we believe in, using practical experience. And we also believe in talking about ourselves. We don't see it as, oh, you are exposing yourself to the world, because we can't we don't we, if we are sent to be a help, we must also be
Yeah.
open enough to share in areas where we also struggle. My question, one of my questions that I want to ask is, when you said, when the host asked you about healing, because this year, our theme for this year as an initiative is healing. So when she asked you about, how to actually, get healing, from this, and you said something, you said, if you continue to talk about it, it's like you are putting it in a basket, like a
Baskets.
laundry basket. But until you put it in the washing machine, and I said to myself, oh, 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 when I times when I talk about, psychological pains and emotional abuses that I have had, I feel it. When I talk about it. I always feel that people should understand. You should try to get what I'm trying to say. But I found out that I just talk and talk, and I feel drained at the end of the day, and there's nothing. I'm back to square one. So my question now is this: if I don't talk about it, you understand? I feel heavy inside. If I talk about it, I feel drained. I feel like I'm complaining, and like I'm a complainer. And then, so my question is on this. People tell you, oh, you are not the only one. You are not the only one. When people try to wave your pain or your experience away and make it seem insignificant, it can really it makes you coil inside or inward and say, oh, maybe I'm not the only one. Why am I making a fuss? Why am I making something huge out of this? So my question now is this: what word or what advice do you have for someone who who is seeking for wholeness, healing from psychological and emotional abuse, but is, being faced with this with this kind of thing from people who she feels that she would, have access that healing from? You understand? How should one who needs, healing from psychological and emotional abuse, how should one, face the world and really, get what the person is looking for?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. That's a very good question. Unfortunately, people are not as sympathetic when it comes to, you know, emotional pain. A lot of people don't understand that that pain is very real, and it's very real for the person who has experienced it. And speaking to the right people is very important. Many times we speak to, different people who we expect to understand, but they don't, like you just said. So every time we speak to people, we're opening up that laundry basket. It's very exhausting bringing back that memory to the front again every single time, because you're opening up emotions that you're not putting away. So it's very draining, very exhausting, like you said. And then because we're not processing it, um, we are literally opening it up, and then we put it back in the basket. We open it up, we don't process it, we don't file it away. When memory is processed and filed away, like put in that when you've washed the laundry and you process that memory, you file it away in your drawers, it becomes less painful. That's the thing. It becomes less painful. People who don't understand don't understand. And lots of people are experiencing it, yes, but everyone experiencing it on different levels, isn't it? Your pain might not be my pain. My pain is not yours. So it's very difficult for people. That's why, like I said, the topic, understanding emotional and psychological abuse, is very different for different people. So there was no way I could sort of pinpoint and say, this is emotional abuse, this is psychological abuse. And we can know the signs and everything, but how you've experienced it is the issue. Now, every time you talk about it and open up that basket and not process it, you feel this way. Now, the question that you've asked, how do you deal with, not feeling drained and you don't want to withdraw and you really want to process this pain? I don't know where you are or which part of of the city that you live in, but I always say one of the things that I know works is therapy. Therapy works very, very well for trauma. Um, there is no shame or how would I put it? In certain cultures, they feel like, having problems with mental health, we're talking about trauma, it's like you're not strong enough. No, there's no strength in emotional pain. Emotional pain is emotional pain, and it is there. If it's not processed for some people, naturally, it will come down. For some people, because the cut is so deep, it will last for a very long time. The best thing to do, there's a lot of people that I work with in therapy from our background and the processing, very, very similar pain. And in the end, they find themselves, their way back to themselves. They always find their way back to themselves after processing that pain. Processing it, going to therapy, there's so many different techniques that different therapists use. You might probably want to access high intensity because the different types, they might tell you CBT, EMDR, all of these. There's different types of different things. But I'll always say, if you want more information, just inbox me, and then I can point you to the right ones that I'll tell you that this is the right thing to use wherever you ask for this kind of thing. Because we don't want you to just keep talking about it. We want you to process it and feel a lot better. The processing is the way forward. I don't know what else to say, but if you need to heal, it's like you have a wound, you've wrapped it up, the wound is very red and raw inside. That's the psychological wound. You have to open it up, start treating it from inside, let it get well. So that the treating it from inside is a processing before you bandage it up again. It needs to be opened. Processing simply means we need to open that wound. We need to bring all the laundry out of the basket, sort it all out. Which one's the most painful one? Pick out the most painful ones, deal with those ones. And once you've dealt with the most painful ones, the ones that are not so painful sometimes process themselves because they've dealt with the worst. But we need to unpack all of it properly, and not just talk about it. Talking about it doesn't heal. Some people talking heals. It makes you feel better, but really, to process it, to make it really go away properly, you need to process it. Yeah. For people
Thank
will
you
always
so much, Ma. So
they
how
always
about
talk.
oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying that people would listen and they'll say
I
this is the only one, but
sorry,
you're not
yes,
processing
and
it.
this question is okay, Ma. I don't know. Are you done answering that question, Ma?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, Ma. Thank you. My second and the last question. Now, I want to base this my question on our situation as Christian women, and in marriage relationship. In a situation where, you mentioned while you were sharing with us that these invisible wounds, it usually starts with, love. They pull you, the abuser pulls you in, with love, and then, starts to quote and unquote deal with you. And because it all comes across as, showing love or showering love, you do not really know, how to differentiate it, or to actually discern that this is abuse. So my question is this: eventually find yourself as a woman in a marriage relationship that you have been psychologically and emotionally abused, and you come to a point where you say, oh, enough is enough, I'm no longer having it. And for you to be able to, get healing, you need to definitely stay away from the environment where the abuser also lives. So which means, if you don't stay away from the home that you probably share with the abuser, it will continue, and you will not be able to, find yourself healing. And then in the process of that, like I said, as Christians, the church comes like, oh, you need to keep your home, you need to keep your marriage. And you tell you, it's okay, say, okay, you are forgiven, you don't hold any grudge or whatsoever. But you don't just find yourself wanting to continue in that marriage ever again. You don't want to continue that marriage. You have prayed about it, you have done everything, and for you nothing is happening. So talk to us now, as talk to let me talk to that Christian wife who has gotten to that extent that where she's saying, I'm not, I don't hate him. Let me put it that way. Now, in the situation whereby it is the husband that, talk that Christian wife now. I don't hate him, but I don't feel like continuing in this journey with him. I feel that the best thing for me is what, to just stay away. I have more peace. I have more, my life is much whole from when I'm not with. So, and I have to just, if I don't end this marriage, I don't, you are not, the only thing you are after is just to find, finally be whole, away from, where the abuser of you, psychologically and emotionally, is. But as a Christian woman now, you are struggling. One, as a mother, you are thinking, oh, I don't want to let my children go. And then, but when it comes to the issue of the marriage and relationship, you don't care whether it stands or break. So please, what do you say to that woman in such a situation? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for that question. And honestly, within the church, that's one of the biggest problems that women face.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm just going to be blunt about it. Yes, women in church, I think they face one of the most, that's the biggest one. And because sometimes they don't actually have the space to talk about it, because the expectation is that they should be perfect wives, obviously submissive to their husband, no matter what, and all of this. Forgetting that the woman is also a human being who has emotions, who feels, who understands, who's living, who's alive. So, in the case of the Christian wife, that space really needs a lot of work.
Mm.
That space needs a lot of work. And I really wish we could open up a lot of conversations and give space for women to speak about how they're feeling and what's going on, and to talk about these things. Because sometimes it is shut down. Women haven't got the space to talk, and women haven't got the space to express how they feel. So now, for the Christian wife who's going through these kind of difficulties, you're fed up. There must be a reason why you're fed up and you're tired. There must be a reason for the abuse. Like we said, it starts subtle, and then things escalate. And if it's not dealt with right from the beginning, and resolved, that's when the wounds come. When things are not resolved, when they've hurt you, and it causes a lot of damage which is not repaired. That's when the wounds come. So all those damages that have not been repaired are the things that have taken the love out of your heart, or out of the heart of the Christian women. And because that love is gone, you don't see any point in staying there. But you're probably there because, obviously, as a Christian wife, divorce is completely not encouraged, but you're staying there for one reason or the other. So I think one of the things that you need to look at, because this one now is not only in the space of abuse, it's also looking at the relationship. So
Hmm.
conversations need to be had between you, the husband, and relationship counseling needs to come into this, because the breaking down of the relationship is causing a lot of pain. So much as you are dealing with a lot of emotional and psychological abuse, you're also dealing with the relationship and how it's going and the direction in which it's going, where you don't want to stay in it. If as a Christian wife, if you're thinking, no, I've had enough, have conversations, talk about it with a relationship expert. If the pastor can sit with you, or the priest or whoever can sit down and really talk about things and leave it as an open conversation and not cite, anyone. I think that's the biggest problem. Is it to cite maybe the man or something like that, and, to really have
Hmm.
that open conversation and really look at how you feel, and not ignore how you feel or turning things around and putting the blame on you, but to actually talk about things in terms of how you're experiencing it, and what's going on. And one of the things that the wounds are still there is because people haven't had closure. That's why I said processing is important. If you haven't got closure to what's going on, if you have closure, you're happy. Then you don't feel like there's no reason for me to leave. I'm going to stay here. This man is changing. But if there's no closure and things just keep repeating themselves, and no matter what you say, no matter what you do, it's very difficult. So the difficulty now, or the decision, not difficult, the decision now will come from you, whether you want to stay or go, because that's a relationship part. But in terms of healing, honestly, you need to find a way back to you. You need to process it. And another thing that you mentioned, that you're still living in that relationship, so the trauma keeps re-traumatizing over and over again. And I get it. But you need to come to the point where you make a decision about the fact that I can't let this thing hurt me anymore. I'm not going to allow whatever's going on to take control of my life, to take control of me, to make me feel the way I feel. I cannot allow whatever's happening here to be the thing that will destroy me. So when we move from this reactive brain, like as I was explained before, to the brain that has to make the decision about what you want to do in this relationship now, you need to stand